Anura Kumara Disanayake. Does that name sound familiar? Perhaps not. Welcome, Vanakkam, Swagatham. Well, he is the president designate of our next door neighbor, Sri Lanka, one time Ceylon. It's quite significant that this relatively unknown and unimportant person, till recently, though he has been gaining political momentum from a very humble beginning, Disanayake has suddenly shot to political prominence nationally in Sri Lanka, a small country of some 20 million people, much smaller than Kerala, if you like. Now, it's obvious that the wind that has swept Disanayake to power is the youth's power. The power of the youth has been playing a very significant role in Sri Lankan politics, as was evident last year when, out of maybe sheer desperation, the youth of Sri Lanka put up a determined bid to oust the then dispensation because of its corruption, and decided to call for radical reforms. It's obvious that the outcome has not been very satisfactory, though the sort of serious rot into which Sri Lankan economy had sunk could be halted. Various problems still remained. Therefore, it was only to be expected that the people of Sri Lanka would look for a better alternative. Now, whether Disanayake will prove a better alternative or not, time will tell, but it's quite obvious that he was radically different in terms of his posturing, in terms of its promises, in terms of the proclamation of his goals, in terms of his overall public posturing. And therefore, the voters of Sri Lanka got irresistibly drawn towards him. He got nearly 44% of the popular votes. And there had to be a second counting in order to decide the president designate. And in the second counting, he got enough votes to be the next president. Now, what is the message of this development in Sri Lanka? I'm sure the think tank of the BJP will be watching this development with extreme absorption and curiosity. Perhaps even greater curiosity than watching the ongoings in Bangladesh, though Bangladesh is a much bigger country and strategically perhaps more significant, because of the confluence of Pakistan and China on Bangladesh. The main reason why, from a symbolic and psychological point of view, the developments in Sri Lanka, particularly in this regard, namely electing Disanayake as the next president, will be of or is of great significance to the BJP camp is that it clearly signals the growing disenchantment with the stereotypical political processes and the utter unpredictability that is likely to burst over the scene. Every party formulates its political electoral strategies based on certain calculations in which past successes play a main role. And that's the main reason why in history past successes pave the way towards present disasters. History is a fluid and dynamic process in which victories turn into defeats and defeats into victory. This is why in one of my earlier videos I described the historical process as a pendular swing. History doesn't stay frozen in one particular direction or one particular enclave. It swings from one extreme to the other. So for a while it seemed that all over the world, extreme right-wing ideologies were gaining ground, spewing up democratic dictators, a very curious phenomenon, certainly a conundrum of sorts in our times, democratic dictators, whether it is Trump in the United States or Putin in Russia or Ping in China or whatever. And the assumption growing ground steadily that only one who functions in a dictatorial manner, presiding over the affairs of what's called a hard state, can deliver governance, which is one of the many political dogmas in force. And people thought that, that was the last word. I mean, we could just sit on this idea. But suddenly you see things changing. In Bangladesh, it has changed. Sheikh Hasina was a dictator sort of person, and of course aided and abetted by Bangladesh's neighbor. And suddenly you see a backswing. People have risen up like one man and reasserted their rights. And the horrendous wrongs committed in the last 10 years are being righted or corrected in Bangladesh. And we must rejoice to that extent. Though it often happens that when one dictatorial regime is replaced by another, the succeeding regime also tends to develop repressive and dictatorial tendencies, which I hope doesn't happen in Bangladesh for the sake of the people of that country who deserve better. Now, as far as the message coming from Sri Lanka to the BJP camp is concerned, I think it's not good news, because the kind of freshness that Narendra Modi managed to conjure up around himself in 2014, largely due to the many promises that he made, which created unprecedented hope, expectation, and anticipation, euphoria and anticipation, as though we were already on the brink of a new heaven. And that is now become stale. It has already become stale. And that's clear. Certainly the message coming through the 2024 parliament elections, no question about it. The Modi magic, the famed Modi magic, failed to deliver. And like in the case of Sri Lanka, the issues that are bothering young people are unemployment, cost of living, uncertainty about the future, and mounting corruption, which is the root cause of all of this. If you ask the voters in Sri Lanka, they would say that they voted mainly on the basis of three issues. One is unemployment, which is a huge issue in India, even if we refuse to recognize it. By we, I mean those in the treasury benches. The other is increasing cost of living, making quality of life unattainable for most people in the country, Sri Lanka. The third, of course, is corruption, which is the seed of all these problems. And quite clearly, all these three issues are of equal relevance to the Indian electorate. No matter what propagandist twists and turns or spins are imparted, the harsh realities that people have to live day by day cannot be hidden behind the smokescreen of words or propaganda strategies or diversionary intrusions and hypnotic illusions. People are left with the problems that they have to handle. After the show is over, everyone has to come back home, and if there is no fire in the hearth, there will be a fire in the belly, and at that time, no propaganda will make up for it. There will be anger. So the days are clearly over when people could have been made to forget their own suffering, their own misery, their own deprivation, helplessness, bewilderment, by projecting before them some kind of a mythological possibility, whether it be of the resurrection of the Ramarajya in the under the guise of resurrection of the Hindu Rashtra under the guise of Ramarajya, or the projection of India as a economic superpower waiting in the wings, or India as the world guru. All these are very nice to hear about, and no Indian will ever have any dissatisfaction with it. We would earnestly want all of these dreams to be fulfilled. But before all that can happen, it's necessary that there is some food on the table, that there is medicine available when you are sick and in pain, that your children can attend schools where some quality education is available to them. Above all, there is security to human life. And there is an assurance that if you go out of your home, you'll come back alive and won't be accused of this, that, and the other. And summary justice, which is nothing but injustice, will not be meted out to you on the street. So these are all issues, real life issues, and gone are the days when these issues could have been swept under the carpet and people made to remain in a state of hypnotic delusion and hyper excitement regarding what is going to happen. It's a short-term pain, long-term gain, so on and so forth. All those days are over. I don't think they can be reconjured up. And this is going to be a serious problem for BJP. But the BJP, unlike the Congress, has a very active think tank, not one but several. And they make an effort to be rooted in the realities of the people. And therefore, I have good reasons to believe that the BJP will effect mid-course corrections, at least to the extent needed, at least minimally needed. So, the old strategies will have to give way. Mere flashing of the communal card will not help. The dividend of Islamophobia is diminishing, and in many places it's becoming counterproductive. The idea that the Dalits will vote blindly for the BJP in the name of Hindu unity, that's over. A greater degree of self-awareness is spreading among the Dalits, particularly due to personalities like Chandrasekhar Azad, who is filling the vacuum created by Mayawati, and several other promising youth leaders. Above all, the liberation of the youth of India from traditional habitual religiosity, where they say bread first, religion second, employment first, religion thereafter. So the mounting aspirations of the youth of India, whose democratic dividend has been paid lip service to for several years now, but precious nothing done to turn it to the nation's advantage, as well as to the affirmation of the youth of India. This cannot go on. And that's a message that comes very clearly to me through the outcome of the Sri Lankan presidential election. And I can only hope and pray that this message reaches where it needs to reach, and that by heeding the message thereof, the BJP will be the gainer by effecting the necessary mid-course corrections that are necessary if it is to hold on to the loyalty of the people as well as command their trust and their respect. Otherwise, the writing is there on the wall for all those who are politically literate enough to read. And I sincerely wish that the writing is read and understood for the good of all. Thank you.